Okay. Hi guys. Welcome back to our channel. If this is your first time, I'm Elsie and this is
Tony.
Okay. Today we're talking about a very important topic. If we say so ourselves.
One that hasn't happened in this country for 70 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And it's happening tomorrow. What are we talking about, Tony?
The coronation.
Yeah.
King Charles III.
we're talking about the coronation of King Charles, and we just felt like having quite a relaxed conversation leading up to the weekend and a bank holiday.
She's good.
So we're feeling very chill. So what aspects of the coronation jump at you, Tony? What kind of things do you think are important to point out or are important to us today?
Wow. No, that's a heck of a question, because you say important to who? I mean, to traditionalists, you think, well, yes, the monarchy, hereditary, this all still relevant, is still there in this world.
Yeah.
To other people, they feel this is like a total anachronism, is throwback to the past. Why are we doing all this?
What do you think?
And maybe it's probably a mixture of both, to be perfectly honest. And at the same time, though, recognizing that there are probably more positive aspects to it than negative ones. The positive aspects, I think, may be coming from the fact that every country needs something to sort of coalesce around, just like a family, or even a nation going around a flag, Now, admittedly, all sorts of horrible things happen when people get so devoted to the idea of a flag without seeing whether they're doing something right or not. But the royal family here has not been particularly unpleasant for many generations.
Yeah.
And
some people might disagree.
Well, that's true. Yeah, but you can always get these people whinging from the sidelines. But in general, yeah, I mean, when you think of sort of some of the hereditary monarchies of old, where kings and queens had the sort of the power of life or death, and frequently it was the power of death over people that disagreed with them.
Yeah.
We haven't had that here, thank goodness, I suppose, for many years. And despite the fact that the king has said that he's a sovereign and he's this and he's that, in actual fact, his power is very limited.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yes, absolutely. The power, for what it's worth, is there. Parliamentary democracy. And we have one of the oldest ones in the world as far as this goes. And the royal family is really, I would say, more like a flag, if you like, people to rally around, a sense of national identity.
Yeah.
And sort of bad things have been done in the name of the king or queen. Particularly, obviously, in the sort of the colonial drive, when people thought this was, well, empire building. No, I mean, this wasn't just a Western sort of hang up about let's go and build an empire, because people have been building empires since whenever. The Babylonian Empire, the Abyssinian Empire, the Roman Empire, the Greek, etc. So the British can't just take the blame for that. They took a concept which had already been used and misused for millennia, and they did it themselves. And for what it's worth, they did it, if I can allow myself to be British for a moment, they did it probably more successfully than most, because they went all the way around the world and painted the map red and sort of got people learning how to play cricket and football, and now we get beaten by everybody at cricket and football.
You're so terrible.
We should never have taught them
really.
in the first place. I know. And it's quite amazing, how when you look at the tiny size of England, and I say England as opposed to Britain, because England actually had sort of, God bless them, they'd rightly or wrongly, they'd sort of subdued, they'd beaten Scotland, they'd beaten Wales, they'd beaten Ireland, So they were really the ones who were the adventurers or the aggressors, depending on how you want to describe them, and they were out there building this empire, And Yeah, much to the annoyance of the French, I have to say.
You're going to you. That's a very sensitive topic.
Well, yes, it is to the French.
It is.
Now, hang on. Are you going to Are you self-identifying as French just because you speak a bit of French?
I plead the fifth. I can.
How you would say, je suis français. Yeah, I'm sure.
Just because this is my country of residence at the moment, and I do not want to be spat out. I just
imagine to be cancelled in France. There could be worse things happen to you.
I know.
But
what would you say to people who think, like in this day and age, it's not really necessary to have an English monarchy? That, like, you know, that it's not fair that you have this. I feel like it's a very great privilege to be born into the royal family. It comes with so many perks, so many responsibilities as well. So on one hand, do you think that it's not fair, well, to the people that they're serving, as well as the people who are born into this family, that, like, you just come into this world and not everyone wants to be, you know, like a royal, right? But just for the sake of, like, just because your parents was a king or a prince or a duke or a duchess, then do you think the system still works today? Because, like, now everyone is preaching equality. So do you think it's a system that we should still keep, or should we just keep doing the whole voting for, like, the people choosing? I feel like that's a very, like, it's a good system, isn't it? It's like, well, if you want to be a leader, then you stand for it, and then if the people want you, they vote for you.
That's true.
I feel like it's a system that works.
Well, that's true. Well, for what it's worth, in Britain just now, we probably have got the best of both worlds, in the sense that, as far as real political power, this resides in Parliament. And Parliament, everyone has got the option to vote for every 5 years, if not less.
Yeah.
You can vote who they vote in. The other thing, for what it's worth, is we've had some abominable politicians and some abominable policies as well.
Yeah.
But we do have a fairly fair voting system, in the sense that no one seriously questions the results of an election, as unfortunately happens too many times in too many countries around the world.
Yeah.
That it almost seems...
I mean, it happened in the US recently.
Well, you know, it almost seems, to use one of your favourite terms, de rigueur, that you have to... The losing side has to challenge the other side and accuse them of cheating. Now, whether it's true or not, whether they cheated, they may well have done, but we don't know. And because we haven't got confidence, or the people in those countries haven't got confidence in the integrity of the voting apparatus, the people who are counting the votes, who are collating them, who are declaring them. That's the thing. And, you know, this is, well, a reflection on society as well. How do we expect a society which is based on things which are not... I nearly said stupidity and greed there, but go on. If you have a society which is fueled and led by things which are not really foundational, important, of real value, and everything is just make it up as you go along, why do we expect the people who are in charge, if you like, of the voting procedure, why do we expect them to be paragons of virtue, totally incorruptible, absolutely, you know, of absolute integrity?
That's a really good point anyway.
They're not going to... They know we're taking them from society. Everyone's got their own ideas to who they'd like to win. And you feel, well, I'm in a position to sort of do this. I just push that pile over there and this pile over here. And, you know, maybe that's a simplistic way of putting it, but, you know, it happens.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, how our leaders behave, right? Whether it's in the monarchy or in the parliamentary system, do you think it's the exact representation of who we are as a society? That, like, even though we complain as, like, oh, they're corrupt and
but we get the leaders we deserve,
but we just, like, we get who we deserve, because we are only complaining because we don't have the power to do that. Because if we did have the power, then we would behave exactly the way
the others. That's right. Now that's honestly that's quite insightful. Because that is the reality. It'd be wonderful if all the people, if you like, in the country were all examples of sort of real moral sort of uprightness.
And then only the leaders
unfortunately we've got some bad people in power. But as soon as those bad people have gone and we've got a right morally good person there, this won't happen again.
No, but we keep getting it's so funny, isn't it? Because then, is it like, when you think about it, so you're thinking, is it something in the position that keeps corrupting the people, or were the people already corrupt before they went into the position, and they just didn't have the resources or the power to to show their real strength?
Well, yeah, actually, it's a serious question, that, and I think it's because the corruption, if you like, is already there, in the sense that the person, there's a saying, if you're dishonest in small things, you'll be dishonest in big things.
Yeah.
So if the person has got a love for money, for argument's sake, as opposed to just respect for the use that money has, and to use to live, to support your family, to do good things. Once you've got a love for money, okay, as a person of ordinary income, there's only so much you can do. All of a sudden, if you've got in a position where, depending on whether you put a signature here or a signature there, you can increase your personal wealth by oh my God,
a lot of zeros.
Wow. You think, now, unless you've had that practice of sort of real integrity, of honesty all your life, that you can say, oh yes, I know there's £10 million in it for me doing it this way, but that's not the right way, we'll do it the right way instead. That's all. So it comes to the basic integrity. But coming back to Charles and his coronation, I think that for what it's worth, this having a national figure, even though lots of people, they're out parading now saying, he's not my king, well, where do you get that from?
Why is that though? Well, why are people...
I don't want to acknowledge that he is the king. Well, for what it's worth, at this moment of time, the facts say that he is king, regardless. I don't like this man.
No.
I don't, whatever. I wish to challenge his authority, but okay. But to say he's not my king. But then again, we live in a world where all sorts of things which should be accepted as facts, or facts that should be accepted, I should say, are challenged.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. But when I say they do more good, certainly look back to his mum's reign. Now, I was at the street party for her coronation.
Oh, your age is showing.
Your
age is showing.
That's right. Yeah, she became queen in 1952, but her coronation party was in 1953. So I remember we had street parties, and I was sitting down with sort of cake and lemonade and all the rest of it. I must have been through 3, I can't remember when I was just over 3 or less than 3, but there you go.
Yeah.
3-year-old. And she's had this huge long reign, and basically well thought of woman all the way through the world. Carried herself with grace, with dignity, whatever, and she had her own family problems as well, as we know about,
as we all do anyway.
But she did quite well, and nobody sort of seriously challenged her integrity or devotion to duty. So she tried to do the best she could. Now, if we don't have something like the Queen or Charles, or a monarch, if you like, as a nationalist, what do we have? Now, you said, do we need them? We don't need, in the sense that, yes, we will die without, because there's plenty of countries don't have them. No. But there's also plenty of countries that don't. Are they really better off?
Well,
are they really better off I don't just mean the financials, are they really better off overall, in the sense of real national identity, cohesiveness, dare I say it, national values, whatever? Are they really better off? If there's a better system, and unfortunately, I mean, even democracy, unfortunately, we're seeing it abused. So many countries all the way through the world, whether it's with blatant vote rigging, or people getting out there and sort of promising to do this and to do that and do the other, just so they can get their hands on the till and the tiller. So we're steering things and we're raiding things at the same time.
Yeah.
I don't know where you would find people disinterested enough to be able to trust to do the job. You'd need people who, I don't know, who've taken a vow of poverty, for example, have absolutely no interest whatsoever in accumulating wealth.
Yeah.
I forget somebody actually suggested this, that in an ideal kingdom you would have this class of person making decisions and this class of person looking after the treasury and whatever.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, the human thing is, we must look after ourselves.
Yeah, we all want power.
But once we realise that, can really internalise that this all is temporary. I mean, good God, look, in the same world we're looking at King Charles being crowned tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
There's what's his name? God bless him, Rupert Murdoch.
Yeah.
90 odd years old. He's a billionaire. They've just paid $750 million to settle a defamation suit against, which was brought by Dominion, the voting machine people.
Yeah.
Okay. And they've had their ups and downs, but he's basically got squillions of money. He's 92 years old. I don't know how long he's going to have to enjoy his wealth.
The rest of the money, yeah.
That's right.
You never know.
You never know. Well, I mean, it's just his potential fourth marriage was fell through. But, so we don't know. It's too early to say whether there'll be a fifth. But, actually it would be the fourth, because the fourth one never happened. But, what a person does if they build it up for their children, well, whether the children use it wisely.
Wisely, yeah.
But the thing is, it becomes a game. Money. Now, I've never sort of had millions or billions, definitely not squillions, but it becomes a bit of a game. When I think of myself young and working, I was a bit of a workaholic.
Yeah.
And
you still are.
Well, the workaholic bit at that time, I was actually being complimented on, even by people who were very, very who were not friends of mine. But they, whoops, daisy.
Oh, no.
That's me fiddling with the set. The reason, because they admired the fact that I was really that I was a hard worker, that I wasn't a shirker. I wasn't wanting to sit around and just get money for nothing. I was working.
Yeah.
Yes. So at that stage, and of course I was working and I was supporting a family and doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But somewhere along the line, this thing about being in business, doing your own thing, started to take a life of its own on. I was no longer, a few years down the line, I was no longer doing it for the sake of providing a living for my family. I was doing it I enjoyed the game. I was in it for the game, and that's the trouble. And that's when the priorities started shifting, and of course my family life, for what it's worth, suffered.
Yeah.
And eventually came to a stop. And it's so easy for this temptation to drag us off course.
Yeah.
And nations get dragged off course just as individuals do. And having something which is not directly involved in politics, which is above that, like the British Monarchy, for example, that outside politics, it really helps people get something that you can, as I say, gather round in a way.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I've never looked at it that way before, but it is something quite interesting, and something that I feel like a lot of people think that people are not interested in it, but to me, I feel like a lot of the older generation, they are quite they know the importance of it. But I'm not surprised that the younger generation are they have a more of a lackadaisical attitude towards it, because we do have a lackadaisical attitude towards everything.
Yeah, whatever. Did I get the accent and the pitch just right there?
Just right. But like you say, as a country, it's really quite important to have something that brings us together apart from politics, because it is a dirty game, politics.
And politics really, when you say politics bringing people together, it brings people together into so many little cliques.
Yeah.
It's not uniting the nation.
No.
And I mean, admittedly, you could say, well, the monarchy isn't uniting the nation. There are many people that are against it, but not quite to the same virulent extent.
Yeah.
That sort of, we've got the left wing and the right wing or whatever politics there. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But and as far as value for money, I mean, yes, okay, the British, they say it cost X amount. Well, I don't know the figures offhand, but they're not huge, spread over a 60 million population. They're not huge, and they bring an awful lot to the country as well. Apart from sort of the direct thing about tourism and people coming to see Buckingham Palace and all the rest of it, and in, if you like, extending this sort of soft power thing throughout the world. The days of sort of military rule and conquest are certainly over for Britain, which is not a bad thing, as I'm thinking I might agree. But yeah, this idea of influence and friendship, and in the Commonwealth has done good.
Yeah, I feel like you've thrown light of certain parts of the British monarchy that I've never thought of it that way, you know, because like I'll probably describe myself as one of the people who would be like, yeah, whatever. Like, yeah, okay. But yeah, like you say, I mean, I'm allowed because I'm not British, but like as a British person, you should see this as something that, like, a sense of identity and something that you can identify with, because like how many countries have a monarchy, and like how many countries have a coronation, and if tomorrow, if you watch TV, you would see the number. Like, we claim that we do not care about it, but then you would see the streets of London tomorrow, you know. So it's kind of obvious that a lot of people do care about it.
And all the way around the world, there'll be like billions of people probably watching this, because apart from anything else, it's it may be a once in my lifetime event, but obviously I was at the Queen's, but Charles, by the law of natural sort of existence, isn't going to have as long a reign as his mother, unless there's some amazing medical discovery. So I might witness a second coronation, but I doubt it. But it's a once in a lifetime type event, which is happening for people. So just on that basis, you know, it's worth just watching something unusual, you know, and all this kind of which was all part of our history, our heritage, whatever, you know. We don't have to sort of live with it all the time, but it's nice to be, that is part of it. And all these people blowing sort of different instruments, wearing funny clothes, riding horses.
Riding horses. What's with British people and riding horses? But
it's and honestly, when you look at some of the countries, I mean, I won't just talk about France. They chopped the head off their last king. But of course, in fairness, we also chopped the head off a king as well in this country. But then, interestingly, we brought the monarchy back.
Yeah.
And that's because that's very odd. Because usually when head chopping is a pretty final thing, that's the end of the dynasty, as it was in France. But when you look around at the kind of excesses that various dictatorships around the world, but not dictatorships overtly saying, I am the dictator and you will do this, but this is the will of the people. This is the sort of, we were democratically elected, as indeed was Adolf Hitler, democratically elected, you know, by a majority vote. There was no fiddling of the vote there. He was democratically elected. And this is something that a lot of people don't want to sort of admit to, as to how badly wrong a sort of our system of sort of
democracy can be. It can be. Because it's like
this, and you mean, okay, when you think about the nations throughout the world, whether it's Russia or China in particular, picking on those two because they had monarchies. Now Russia had a Christian monarchy, China didn't. But the point is, they had monarchies, but where, how should I say, even if you like, the monarchs of history, even though they might be given to excesses and punishing people, whatever, they all basically, it's many, many years since any monarch has declared himself a god. They recognized that there was an authority out there somewhere which had a greater say than they did.
Yeah.
And so there was some kind of curb on what they could do or not do.
Not do, yeah.
Well, once that was sort of taken away, like the Soviet Union, there is no God. It's this, It's the party. The party is now God. The party can make up what rules it wants. We're here. And of course, carried along on the fiction of we're doing this for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's you we're doing this for.
Yeah.
You know? We might have to kill a few million of you on the way there.
Really, nothing good can come out of like just a group, like a tiny group of people having an infinite amount of power.
Well, that's
like
right.
Not, like there should be some form of like, you should at least get it from somewhere. And yeah.
And
so
we have to wish
everyone,
wish King Charles all the best for his coronation.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully he's watching this. He probably
could well
is.
Be, I know. Right. And Queen Camilla. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Okay, guys. We've come
to the end of our program.
We have come to the end of our program. If you've watched to this point, I'm guessing you're enjoying it. So kindly like, comment, subscribe,
share.
And until next time, it's bye for now.
Bye.
If you like this video, kindly like, comment, and subscribe. You can also find us on other social media platforms, on Twitter at Talk with Tony and on Instagram at talkwithtony.live. Don't forget, live, laugh, and most importantly, love. Watch out for the next video. It's bye for now.